Today I'm going to be looking at the song Pancho and Lefty by Townes Van Zandt. This is an all-time classic, one of my favourite songs, and if you don't know the original you might well have heard the famous cover version by Merle Haggard and Willie Nelson, which I think was quite a big hit in the US. Now what I'm going to do is play through a bit of the song for you, and I'm going to try and play it in a fingerstyle kind of a way, the way that Townes did when he played the song live, and I'll do that and then I'll talk you through how to play the song.
Mama's only boy, but a favorite one it seems. She began to cry when you said goodbye, sank into your dreams. Pancho was a bandit, boys. His horse was fast as polished steel. He wore his gun outside his pants for all the honest world to feel. Pancho met his match, you know, the deserts down in Mexico. Nobody heard his dying words. That's the way it goes. And all the federales say could have had him any day, only let him hang around out of kindness, I suppose.
This song was written, or it came out I should say, in 1972. It appeared on the album The Late Great Townes Van Zandt, and I don't think anything much happened with the song or the album at the time, and it was only slightly later when the cover was made by Merle Haggard and Willie Nelson that the song and Townes came to a bit more attention. But I still think he's very much a cult figure. I mean, if you know his stuff, you know how good he is. He's often cited as one of the greatest songwriters of all time, but still sadly a little bit underappreciated. And the version of this song that I'm going to show you today is mostly based on the live recording on the album Live at the Old Quarter. It's an album I've spoken about before. It's a fantastic album, probably my favourite Townes Van Zandt album. Anyway, let's get down to business and I'll show you how the song is played. I want to begin by just taking you through the basic chords to the verse of the song. That's the most important section of this tune. It's mainly made up of these quite wordy verses. Then there's a short chorus or refrain that comes in a little bit later. So it's in the key of C. It's based around some simple open position cowboy chords down in the first position. I have got a capo on here at the first fret, which is how Townes tended to play the song. So technically the song is going to be up a semitone. I'm going to be talking about it in the key of C. And the verse kicks off with the one chord with the C. It's got 2 bars of that. We go to G for 2 bars, F, and then 1 bar of C, 1 bar of G. Then we go to F again for 2 bars, C, F, then A minor, walking down to a G or G7, then F, A minor. So that's the basic chords, and if you don't want to get into all of the fingerstyle stuff, it works really well just strumming through those basic chords. I was just doing a very simple kind of bass note and then strum kind of a pattern. So you hit the root note of the chord or the lowest couple of notes in the chord and then strum the upper part of the chord. that's a very effective, very simple strumming pattern. You can do that with the thumb and then brushing with your fingers, or you can just use a flat pick and play it in that kind of a style. But let's get into the specific fingerstyle patterns that you're hearing on the Live at the Old Quarter recording. And for the most part, they're fairly standard fingerstyle patterns. And if you're completely new to this stuff, I recommend you watch a video I did on 10 basic fingerstyle patterns. That takes you through all of the basics. And those patterns, or a combination of some of those patterns, are exactly what's being used in this song. But there are a few extra things going on in this tune. There are some nice embellishments and sometimes some slightly idiosyncratic things going on that are unique to the Townes Van Zandt style. So I'll try and get into all of those things. But let's begin on this C chord and let's play this. So that's our opening pattern. For most of this tune, the thumb is keeping a steady 4 notes per bar. So here the pattern I'm playing is 5th string, 3rd string, 4th string, 3rd string. And what you can do is you can just add in a hammer on. So when you play the 4th string, just lift up your 2nd finger and then hammer it down. That's a nice embellishment. And then you can add in some higher notes if you want to. And Townes sometimes plays this quite sparsely, I think. You don't need to do that much, but there I'm just adding in the 2nd string at the end of the bar. Lots of variations you can try on that, but that's a basic C chord pattern. Then we're heading to a G chord, and this is the bass note pattern that Townes is playing. So we're now going 6, 3, 4, 3. And then you can just add in some open 2nd string as well. So slightly less common to play a G chord in this way, fingerstyle, which jumping from the 6th string all the way over to the 3rd string. And then just bring in that top note before changing to the F chord. And I'm playing the F chord like this, so thumb over the top and then 3, 2 and 1 on the 4th, 3rd and 2nd string. So I recommend you do it that way when you're playing fingerstyle. It's got its advantages, I think, to use the thumb over the top. You can add in that hammer on from the opened 3rd string. You can use your pinky to play some embellishments as well. So on the F chord, our bass note pattern is just 6 to 4. Quite often he does this little embellishment, putting down the pinky at the 3rd fret or the 4th fret, whatever you want to call it. And you can give that a little bit of a bend if you want to. And then we're heading to a C chord, and on the C chord, the thumb is just going from 5 to 4. That's the pattern that I'm playing. So on beat 2 I'm pinching the thumb and the finger note, and in the 2nd half of the bar I'm alternating. I mean, you don't need to stick too rigidly to these exact patterns. Then we're going to a G chord here, we're playing this. This is quite nice, I think. So I'm playing my G chord with fingers 3, 2 and 4, but here I've got my pinky on the 2nd string and I've got the open top string. Then you've got that nice and that takes us to the F chord, and just do the same kind of thing as before. Little passing note at the end of the bar there, open 4th string, heading to a C chord, to F, all the same patterns as before. Now we've got A minor. So here the bass note is going, so 5, 3, 6, 3. So, and then just this little rundown on the 4th string. So frets 3, 2, and open. And in terms of the rhythm, we've just got a little bar of 2 beats here. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're hitting, it's a G chord or a G7 chord actually. So I'm playing the 3rd fret on the 6th string. I've got my pinky on the 2nd string as before. Now I've got the 1st fret on the top string. That gives you that flat 7, that G7 sound. And my thumb is going from 6 to 3. Lifting up my 1st finger, leading to the F, and then A minor at the end of the verse. And that's got the same thumb pattern as before. And just at the end of that bar, just to turn it round and go through to another verse, we've got a hammer on 5th string, open to 2nd. Kind of a G with a B in the bass is the sound that I'm hearing, and then that goes round again for another verse. So I'll just put that all together. I'm going to try and play it through exactly like on the recording. I mean, certainly don't have to do it exactly like on the recording. When I did my little performance at the start, I wasn't playing exactly these notes. It's very hard if you're performing the song or if you're singing to sort of try and copy the exact patterns of somebody else. So the best thing to do is, you know, learn the basics of this, learn some of those fingerstyle patterns. You can throw in some of the embellishments that he does, but don't feel that you have to stick to exactly his picking patterns. But anyway, the verse goes like this. We've got then we can go around for another verse, just play that exactly the same as before. At the end of the 2nd verse, we just hold on that A minor. We don't have that little turnaround at the end. Then we go into the chorus or the little refrain bit, and it's really based on the same chords that you hear in the 2nd part of the verse. So it starts off on an F, then to C, back to F, A minor, that little walk down, G7 there, and then F, and then A minor. So it's the same chords, more or less the same pattern as the 2nd half of the verse. So, all the federalists say they could have had him any day. They only let him hang around. Out of kindness, I suppose. At the end of that bit, you do have the little turnaround, and then we head into the next verse. So that's the verse and the chorus. There is a little introduction, but that's really just the first few bars of the verse part. But there are a few nice little embellishments in there. So we can start like this on a C chord. So nice embellishment there, just with the pinky at the 3rd fret on the top string. And we're going to G. So just playing around with those higher notes. You've got the C note here, or the first fret on the second string, that's kind of leading into the F chord. So embellishing that F chord, we've got that hammer on, which I spoke about earlier, opened third string, and that bend, hammering into the A minor. So that's slightly different from the verse. So for the introduction, we've got kind of 6 bars, the same as the verse, but then we go to the A minor, so 2 bars of the A minor, which sets you up for going into the first verse. And there is an instrumental break as well, and that's really just the same as the introduction. And when there are no vocals, it makes sense to throw in a few more of these little embellishments. So what's happening on the old quarter record is something like this. So really more of the same stuff. I do like on the G chord or the G7 chord, just you've got these little melody on the offbeats here. So nice little descending melody which leads into the F chord. And that's really it. I hope this helps you get a feel for the song, and there are really so many different ways you can approach it. That's the thing about such a great song, is that you don't need to play it in exactly the same way as the record. You can kind of do it however you want. So if you want to strum it like I demonstrated at the start, you can try and stick a bit more closely to how Townes does it, or you might even want to simplify some of these fingerstyle patterns. If you just wanted to do more beginner friendly fingerstyle patterns, just thumb alternating with fingers, that would work really well too. And as I've already said, I wouldn't recommend trying to learn note for note exactly what's going on the recording. That would just end up being really stiff if you try to perform it. But certainly get some ideas from the record, and then you can interpret things in your own kind of a way. The guitar I'm using today is my Martin 0015M. I'm lucky enough to have 4 or maybe 5 acoustic guitars, but this is the one that I tend to grab most frequently. It's just very comfortable, sounds good, works particularly well for this kind of fingerstyle stuff. And I'm playing today with a thumb pick, and there is some great live footage of Townes playing this song, and he's using, I think, a plastic thumb pick and then metal finger picks as well. I've never really tried playing with metal finger picks before. Maybe that's something I should try doing, but I have got a little bit of a fingernail on my picking hand, so that helps give a little bit of definition. I think when I'm using a thumb pick, that obviously gives some brightness and volume to the bass notes, and you want to balance that out with the notes that you're playing with fingers. There are no right or wrongs when it comes to fingerstyle. You can use a thumb pick if you want or not. You can have fingernails, you can just use the flesh of your fingers, but important to listen and find a sound that you like, and try and find a nice balance between the finger notes and the thumb notes, the bass and the treble. There we are. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Tab is of course going to be up on the Patreon page, and it might be particularly useful in the case of this tune. I just think that with fingerstyle stuff, it's sometimes a little bit challenging to demonstrate that on screen and to describe exactly what's going on, and it can be a lot easier just to see in the tab the coordination between the thumb and the finger notes and all of that stuff. So check that out if you're interested. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.